Hi everyone, my name is Cassie and welcome to my channel Bookish 4 Eyes. Today I'm doing a video that I've seen around BookTube a lot and I was finally tagged in it, so I have a good reason to do it. This is the mid-year check-in tag and I was tagged by Hannah from P.S. I Love That Book. Thank you so much for tagging me. Definitely check out Hannah's channel. I will link it down below as well as the original tag. Question number 1 is how many books have you read so far this year? And I read 49 books so far, and maybe by the time this video is posted I would have read more books. I actually set my reading challenge at 50, so I've met that goal. Question number 2 is what's your favorite book so far this year? And I have 2 for this one because I read some great books and I don't know that I could just pick one, but the book that stood out to me the most is Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. And that's just an incredible book that I gave 5 stars to, and it just made me feel all sorts of things. And it's been a while since I've read a book that I really connected to on that level and that really affected me like this one did. The second book that I absolutely loved so far is Homegoing by Yeah Jessie, and that's just an incredible book, and I know I've seen it around BookTube a few times. I know it's a popular read, and it's a popular book for a good reason because it's an incredible story that's completely beautiful and just sweeps you up. They're both great. Question number 3 is what's the most disappointing read so far this year? If you followed my channel, especially recently, you'll know that the book called Providence by Carolyn Kepnes has been one of my most anticipated reads so far. I loved her previous books and I thought this one was going to be no different. However, it turned out to be a little disappointing. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars and it definitely didn't live up to my expectations. But other than that, there haven't been too many books that I've been greatly disappointed in, so that's a good sign. Question number 4 is what genre have you read the most this year? And I guess I've read mostly thrillers and literary fiction, which is pretty standard for me. That's a genre that I normally read. So I guess I've pretty much stayed the same and I haven't really went into any different genres. Question number 5 is new authors you discovered this year, and I have 3 new authors whose books I read that I really enjoyed. The first is Lisa Ko. She wrote The Leavers, and I think that's her first book, and I don't know that she's written any more since. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what she does next because her writing was great and she definitely talks about topics that are very relevant and interesting. The second is John Boyne. After I read his book, Heart's Invisible Furies, he's also written a book called Boy in Striped Pajamas, and I haven't read it, but I've actually seen the movie. And the movie was very good. It was also a very heartbreaking story, so you know, if you read the Heart's Invisible Furies and you've got another book by John Boyne that you like to read, Boy in Striped Pajamas is a good option. Last but not least is more of a thriller type recommendation. This is B.A. Paris, who wrote Behind Closed Doors. She also has another book coming out called Bring Me Back, and I will be reading that book in the near future, and I'm really excited for that. But Bring Me Back was excellent, and it's been a while since I picked up a thriller and a new author, and they turn out to be very good because that doesn't happen too often. Question number 6 is what's the most surprising good book that you read this year? And I'm gonna have to say it's The Hate You Give, because I don't tend to read a lot of YA books and I usually avoid them, especially if they're very hyped up and people have been saying nothing but great things about them, because normally I end up disliking them, so I normally try to stay away. But I've heard great things about this book. The subject matter seemed like something that is relevant and I'd be interested in, so I figured I would give it a go, and it didn't disappoint at all. It was an excellent read and it was really well done, and I was genuinely very into it, so it's probably like one of the best YA books I read in a long time, so that was very surprising and I genuinely was happy that I picked it up. Question number 7 is what are your most anticipated 2018 releases? And I have 2 books that haven't come out yet. There were a bunch of new releases that I was excited for, but they're already out, so I'll just talk about the ones that haven't come out yet. The first one is Katerina by James Frey, and I've been a fan of James Frey for a while, ever since I read A Million Little Pieces and My Friend Leonard. Those 2 books were excellent, I thought, and in spite of some controversy surrounding him, I'm definitely willing to read more of his books because I enjoyed his writing and I'm kind of curious about what he comes out with next, so I'm very excited to read that one. The next book that's coming out is Cross Her Heart by Sarah Pinborough, and if you remember my Goodreads from last year, I really enjoyed Behind Her Eyes, which completely blew my mind, and the ending was crazy, so I'm really excited to see what her second book delivers. It's also bound to be a thriller of some kind, so I hope it's good. I have the highest of hopes, and I can't wait for those two books to come out. They're both coming out in the fall. Question number 8 is, what's your next big priority for reading? I really want to keep trying to introduce more nonfiction books into my reading, and actually these days I'm very interested in a lot of the nonfiction books that have come out because they touch on topics that I'm genuinely interested in and want to learn more about. So I think I will just try to go out there and look for more books that are nonfictions that have the subject matter that I'm interested in at the moment, and they're very informative and just give me a better outlook on life and on different things. So definitely read more nonfiction and hopefully read more classics too. I know I keep saying these things and I've done okay with nonfiction, but I haven't really been picking up as many classics as I was hoping I would. So hopefully that will change and I will manage to pick up more classics. Question number 9 is, what's been your bookish highlight this year so far? I think my biggest bookish highlight is actually coming back to BookTube. I did take a long break. I think I was off BookTube for like a year before coming back again this year, and I think coming back to BookTube really reinforced my interest in reading, and there's so many books that I'm constantly trying to read, and just overall being in that community and staying on top of all the books and everything, it has been great. It's made a big change for me, and I'm able to read a lot more books than what I would have had I stayed away from BookTube, so that's definitely a big thing. Last, question number 10 is, who do you tag? I have seen a lot of people do this tag, and also a similar one, it's like a mid-year freakout I think it's called. So if you're interested in this, consider yourselves tagged. This is a fun tag to do, and I was very excited that I got tagged to do it. So that's it for this tag. Please let me know what were some of your favorite books so far this year, and also if you've read any of the books that I've talked about and what you thought of them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.